The High Court in London is one of the world's great stages, where the best-paid barristers contest cases that are reported around the world. The intoxicating atmosphere of court attracts thousands of aspiring lawyers every year. But the profession they are trying to join is under threat as never before. Now, for the first time in its 800-year history, cameras have been allowed inside the closed world of the bar. It's spring, and a group of would-be barristers arrives at a royal lodge in Windsor Great Park for a training course. It's run by Middle Temple, one of 4 professional associations known as Inns of Court all student barristers have to join. It's no picnic.
Stop there. I don't care what you'd like. I really don't give a monkey's. I don't care what you think. I don't care what your opinion is. You're the advocate. This is a big, big mistake. No. In my submission...
One of their teachers is Master John Leslie.
If I may tell you a few things about Mr. Two before.
No, you may not. Well, you've asked.
He's a bencher, a senior member of Middle Temple who has given his time to teach them how to win.
It's important that you get this right. I hope that I'm not too brutal with them, but I think in order to bring it home, you need to be direct. And you can't pussyfoot around and say, well done, when essentially they've made mistakes that are correctable and ought to be corrected. One of the problems about it is...
Just 1 in 5 of these students will achieve their dream. They already have legal qualifications and are studying advocacy in the hope of a career representing people in court.
Madam, I appear on behalf of the prosecution in this case.
Kat Piercy from Preston in Lancashire wants to practice civil law.
The facts of this case are quite simple. Mr. Oxford agreed to supply a cake for the 10th anniversary party of the Ilkley Croquet and Golf Club on the 7th of January this year.
Stop there. You're not reading, are you?
No, not at all. You can see it's not word for word, but I have notes. Did it feel like I was reading?
It's suspiciously like it.
Right.
Try again.
There's no barristers or lawyers of any type in my family. When I was 16, as every other 16-year-old student, I did work experience and attended court pretty much every day and absolutely loved it, going in the cells and meeting the barristers. Absolutely was in awe of the advocates who could stand up there and argue their case, no matter how unsuccessful their arguments might be. My parents support me 110% through all of this, and they just want me to get the job I've always dreamed of having. On analysis of the cake, it was indeed found to contain cannabis or a cannabis resin.
Stop there. You're delivering this in almost a monotone.
Right.
And it's boring. Your voice is your instrument. And we're going, no, no, da 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 da. And it's soporific.
It was good. You know, civil judges would be exactly the same. They won't want any messing. They want you to get down to business. They've got a lot of cases to get through, and if I sound boring, then I'm not going to win my cases. So it was good feedback to have.
Most of the students are competing for work at barristers' chambers like Citadel in Birmingham.
Okay.
At its nerve centre is a team of clerks who take bookings for barristers to defend people accused of crimes.
Yeah, that's all I've got for you, unless you've got surprises at work.
So you'll be round shortly? Oh, well, don't worry.
They also take bookings for them to prosecute on behalf of the Crown Prosecution Service.
CPS only served the papers at 3:30 today as opposed to a week in advance like they're supposed to. So he hasn't had much of a chance to read them either.
Richard, Dickie Bond, has been a barrister for 20 years. The clerks run the lives of no fewer than 73 barristers here.
So I'll be available on Friday.
You got this extra?
Yeah, that's no problem.
That's covered, yeah.
There's no problem. And there's the bail application as well, adjourned from Monday.
That's not in your diary.
Well, that's been reserved to Mr. Recorder Atkins.
Probably allocated to somewhere else.
That's all right.
I'll double check that.
Okay. All right, thank you. By the way, you're looking really gorgeous this evening.
Thank you.
It's a joke.
Get the tea on.
It's not an easy life because we work very odd hours, and that's due to the fact that you are trying to prepare so many cases at the same time. A lot of your work you don't get until the night before, and you have to go into court at 10 o'clock, 10:30 the next morning, having had a conference with your lay client, and you must know the case inside and out. For instance, tonight, I don't imagine I'll be in bed before about 2 o'clock, but that's because I've got a lot of work to complete on the case. It will be ready for the start of the trial.
Dickie is prosecuting the latest in a series of trials following race riots in inner-city Birmingham.
There was an explosion of violence on the streets of Lascelles, Newtown and Handsworth in Birmingham. Gangs of youths roamed the streets of Birmingham, committing acts of violence indiscriminately. 2 people were murdered, 2 trials have already taken place, and people have been convicted of those offences already. What we're looking at now is CCTV of part of the Lascelles riots, and all of the CCTV was following a gang of black males marauding around the streets of Handsworth. This is the incident outside an address in Samwell Road, where the defendant who is being tried can be clearly seen together with an associate of his. The defendant is marked in red and the other suspect is marked in green. You can see him throwing a brick at the house. This is the other suspect pointing a gun, which you can clearly see there. And they attack the vehicle on the driveway. So the difficulty that the prosecution have is being able to demonstrate that it's the defendant in the dock who is the man shown on this CCTV, who's marked in red.
After working through the night, Dickie will help open the case for the prosecution at Birmingham Crown Court.
Good morning, Master.
Hello. Oh, have you taken pity on me?
What a lovely Sunday morning.
Yeah, it is.
Why are we throwing it away on prosecution openings?
Apparently there's going to be a big carriage race today because they're all being set up as I walked over from the news.
Oh, we'll run off without seeing that.
We're going to the Royal Chapel this morning, so hopefully the Queen will be there. That will be my highlight if she is. It's quite a long way from Preston, but my nana asked if I could tell the Queen she said hello and sent her best wishes, so...
Yeah, I think it's just...
The biggest challenge these students face is getting a place at a barrister's chambers. Anna de Warner-Kluger has wanted to be a criminal advocate since she was a child. She's anxious to make the right impression.
Oh, I think everyone's nervous about it. If no one's nervous about it, they're lying, because you don't quite know how it's going to happen. I'm nervous and excited. I really, really, really want interviews, but it's also nerve-wracking thinking that you're going into an interview as well. But we'll see.
Okay, first of all, I don't need to know you to tell me that that's your name.
Okay.
So you don't need to put name. Okay. It's like people who put CV.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, I
don't
know
need
it's
you know
CV,
it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, of course you can. Okay. You want to make any comments?
You haven't said what area of law you want to practice in, which I think would be helpful.
Do you know which area of law? Right. So target the things which a criminal chamber is going to like working for TV adverts, working for Revenue and Customs, being involved with the prison. Then put other experience, and you can include all the other things that you've done, which, for example, 5 paper buildings Richard King, they don't do crime, but it's relevant and important that you did that because you now know you don't want to do civil. Okay, so I'd rearrange it like that.
There's a set of chambers that I'm going to apply to, and I want to do just criminal, and they do a fair bit of criminal work there. And the members of chambers have all just been really friendly and chatty, and it's nice to find a set of chambers where you realise there are other people you could go for dinner with, you could go for a drink with, and get on with them. And I want a chambers like that where not only I like them, but they'll like me as well, because you fit in as a person.
In Birmingham, the riots trial is about to begin. Dickie, who has done much of the preparation, is the junior counsel. Adrian Redgrave, QC, is known as the leader. The charges they have to prove beyond reasonable doubt are attempted murder, robbery, and riot. It's the first time that Adrian has seen how the police have prepared the video evidence.
This is Uplands.
This is Sandwell Road.
Sandwell Road, sorry. The important bit is showing him coming up. It's actually... OK, let's look at these. Oh, you can see the gun there.
No. Oh, yes, there, yes.
Yeah. And when you watch that from another camera angle, you see members of the bar staff trying to jump for cover.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
OK, good, thank you very much.
Minutes after meeting the police, Adrian has his case prepared and is off to court to present it to the jury.
Yes, that's the important one. When you're being led by a silk, it's the silk who's in charge of the advocacy, really. The junior does all the donkey work. Of course, I'm there making notes, and after the case, we've bounced ideas off each other to see if Adrian's missed anything, and to decide whether taking a certain route in cross-examination is a good idea, or whether you should leave a certain matter well alone, because it won't take your case any further. God, I sound really learned, don't I, Mark?
No.
There's been a revolution in the way that barristers are trained. Colleges have sprung up offering the year-long bar vocational course for £12,000. And the number applying is up by 50% in the past 5 years.
Do you want to...
Jo Darby is 32. She gave up a successful career in the theatre to retrain as a barrister.
Mr. Oakley, you've told the court that you were going to Jester's nightclub on the Saturday evening.
Yep, that's right.
And it was free ladies' night that night, wasn't it?
I don't know, I'm a man, sir, but I guess so, yeah.
You've told the court that you had a couple of drinks before you left for the club.
Yeah.
And then you had a few more drinks in the Vibe bar.
A couple of drinks, yeah.
You were quite pissed by this point, weren't you?
Well, no, not drunk, because I can drink a lot, so... But I'd had a few drinks.
Yes.
Jo is studying at one of the new colleges in Leeds.
Ideally, I'd like to be in the north of England, so I'm going for chambers in Leeds and Manchester predominantly. It's where I was brought up. I've lived in Yorkshire most of my life. I have a very strong support network here. I know the people of Yorkshire, and I just love living here. I have lived in other parts of the country. I've worked in other parts of the country. I've lived abroad, but I want to base my practice here. Mr. Oakley, I put it to you that you didn't ask her if she consented, and you didn't care whether she consented. I have no further questions, Your Honour.
Good, okie dokie. We've got, it just happens occasionally, just grab a seat, that just occasionally the last question that you ask, and I think it's happened to other people, they don't wait for an answer. I put a do, and then just sit straight out. Remember, every question that you ask, you must get a response to. You know, they do get the last word. Good, okay. There's some nice stuff there. Joe, you've got a really nice tone and manner, cross-examination. I think that was strong without being too much. You lead very well, so good, good, good. I wouldn't have used the word pissed personally earlier on. Yeah, nice point on ladies' night. I think that's all pretty good.
If you don't believe that you're going to make it, then you shouldn't be doing it in the first place, because everything rides on believing yourself. If I don't believe I can do it, then no one else is going to.
While the number of students is at an all-time high, the number of places in chambers is falling. Applicants for a barrister's apprenticeship or pupillage have only a 1 in 5 chance of success. Anna's secured an interview at a prestigious criminal chambers.
Hi, can I please ring you back in like half an hour? Is that okay? Okay, bye, bye. Great opsies. I can't wear heels all day because I'll just fall over. Okay, Mum, but I don't know about food for the barbecue. I can't think about the barbecue right now. Whatever you do, don't get coleslaw. Well, I mean, I hate it. I don't know. People like... Do you like coleslaw? No, don't get coleslaw. Okay. Okay, bye. Bye. Talking to my mum should calm me down and just stop me from being so jittery before I go into one of the most important interviews of my life. They're interviewing about 70 of us, and quite a few of those people are my friends. So that's quite nerve-wracking. And the fact that my housemate's in straight after me is also really strange. But it should be okay. Well, we're not up against each other per se. I wouldn't say, at least. I mean, I know there are only a few places, and there are lots of us going for it, but I don't know. I don't think of it as being up against them. I think it's a competition to get the places, but we're not against each other. Friend help friend, that's why. So it's not, yeah. It's weird though, it is really strange.
Deep within each court, there is a place reserved for barristers. The robing room is where prosecution and defence counsel can draw breath. It's a place steeped in tradition and governed by etiquette, and where the QC, or silk, is top of the pecking order.
As a present, as a thank you, silks occasionally will give their juniors what's called a red bag. When people come to the bar, first of all, you're entitled to carry your robes around in a blue bag, and then you progress onwards by getting a red bag.
It's for exceptional work. Yes, and silks are entitled to give 1 a year. I don't. I've given 3, I think, in 15 years.
If Mr. Redgrave is happy for me to show you the message that he left for me, then of course I'll show you. Normally it's, dear so-and-so, thank you for all the hard work you did for me, but mine's a bit different. The story behind that is that Adrian cross-examined a witness, and one of the answers that he was given was to do with bling. And Adrian didn't know what bling meant, so I explained it to him. So he thought he'd show off in front of the jury later on that day, and he managed to cross-examine in a bling, whereupon everybody collapsed into laughter, and I had to explain to him that there was no such thing as a bling, it was just bling. So to remind me of that moment, he has written a bling for you.
Kat wants to specialise in European law, which means getting into an elite commercial chambers. She's got a degree from Oxford. The problem is that it's a 2-1 rather than a first.
A lot of the people who have got tenancy or pupillage at these chambers have already got a first from Oxford or Cambridge. They've done a master's at Oxford, they've or done a master's at Harvard or Yale. They've worked at the UN or worked at the European Commission and have got really good experience behind them, which is excellent if you've got the time and the money to take time out to do that. But for someone who's really eager to be a barrister in those fields, it's quite tricky to then think, oh, well, I'll take a couple of years out to do these things.
After an hour-long grilling, Anna emerges from her interview.
Oh, it's really bad. I had to give an argument to why they should sit in a bath of baked beans for charity. Well, we got to pick things, but me and my sense of humour went for the baked beans. Prepped that and then went in. I need to go and sit down because my feet really hurt. I gave it my best shot. I think it was more, rather than them actually saying I'm going to do it, how they thought I went about my argument for it. So we'll see.
Jo is in London to take part in a competition for trainee barristers. Along with her fellow student Ali, she'll be up against another team of students in a legal debate known as a moot.
Well, a moot is like a moot point, so it means you can argue it either way, basically. There are opinions on either side, hence mooting. So usually you get an area of law that's particularly controversial or a point of law where there are lots of cases on either side, and it's ripe for discussion and ripe for mooting.
Success can only help Jo's quest for a pupillage.
Well, it shows you've got hands-on experience making submissions, and not just making submissions in class with your classmates in a friendly environment, but you're in front of judges who may be prospective judges who you'll actually be making applications in front of when you're on your feet. So it shows you've got very relevant experience, and it's something that you get better and better at the more you practice.
Jo's opponent in the moot is another trainee barrister, Iqbal Mohammed.
My lords, the first issue in the form of a question is whether or not Section 19 interferes with the Article 12 right, if indeed it does interfere with that right. And the fact that such a ground doesn't exist in the United Kingdom is cause for great concern for Mr. Lord Justice Buxton in the Court of Appeal.
Lord Justice Buxton.
Lord Justice Buxton in the Court of Appeal.
I was born in Solihull, which is a small town very close to Birmingham. And, you know, my parents, they moved to Birmingham because of my father's work. And then at the age of 4, my father and my mother, they broke up. And when my mum got divorced, I remember reading witness statements from a very, very young age, like 7, 8-ish, because she'd get these witness statements to sign and double check. And I remember like having to try to figure out what a particular word meant. And, you know, sometimes like having to ask somebody else and then try to explain to my mum.
That the judgments of the Court of Appeal and the House and the High Court, at first instance, cannot They're wrong, Gov. They're all wrong.
That was a little bit loose, what you were getting across there. And then you said a few times, I ask your lordships to turn over. I was thinking, bend over, your lordships.
I ask your lordships to bend over.
So don't, because that's not very good.
And then I say, my lords, any more questions? If not, I'm off.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's brilliant.
I think maybe 30 minutes, something like preparation, a bit more. Yeah. We've gone through it now properly, once each. So I think we just have to just tie up some small ends.
Yeah, well, I mean, he goes first though, so it's better that he really gets everything down pat, and well, I can take some extra notes while he's doing his submission.
The thing is, once you go, you know when you go second, if the first person's rubbish, you have this confidence, oh, I'm better than that, I can do better than that. You get up and you have this kind of confidence. If you go first, you have nothing to compare yourself to, you know, and if you're rubbish, you're kind of shaking, thinking, oh.
I need like 5 minutes to get changed, and I'd rather get changed here.
Is that you?
My suit.
What's that?
Suit.
This is not a suit.
No, this is too short, man. You need to go, are you mad? Come on.
Since the recent expansion of bar vocational courses, the role of the Inns of Court has changed. For 700 years, they were the sole providers of barristers' training. Today, they are legal societies that provide financial support and a place for students to learn from those at the top of the profession. Their most senior members, known as benchers, include multimillionaire QCs, judges, and former prime ministers. One successful construction barrister is Paul Darling QC.
I just bumped into an old friend in the street, so...
The moot is being held in the main hall at Middle Temple. It's a daunting place. Shakespeare first staged Twelfth Night here. Elizabeth I supplied the dining table. And then there's the desk that new barristers sign up on.
Where's it gone? I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Now, I might get the history of this wrong. You never know. The treasurer had the top of the cupboard off. This comes from the Golden Hind. Let's see if we can... I'll probably get pushed out the brownies for this. But yes, if you look underneath, it's the most amazing. That is from the Golden Hind itself. And the treasurer is very... When new benchers are called, they give an account of themselves to Hall, and they do so from here. I have to say it's quite a frightening experience.
Fancy asking Alice to sit on a grassy bank with a brandy glass in her hand. Is that okay? Is that okay?
That's really much better.
Thanks. 1, 2, buckle my shoe.
Is my voice loud enough?
Marion, what about me?
Is that all right?
One of the things that is amazing is that the great and the good who are involved in the inn play as active a role in looking after students as, for example, I do. That's one of the beauties of it. It's a family that anyone can join. And once you join that family, you're treated in the same way as anybody else. I mean, I come from the northeast of England, and I can tell you that nowhere does where you've come from make any difference to the way in which you're treated.
Alison, you're not mooting in this hall. You're in another one called Inner Temple.
Ha ha.
It's that way.
I'm too good for Inner Temple.
Shh. Such unprofessionalism, Marion. Isn't that right?
He's only trying to get rid of us because he's scared.
I'm fine once I start. I hate waiting around. I really hate it. Really, really, really hate it. So as soon as I start, it'll be fine.
Joe and Iqbal are among more than 150 students given scholarships by Middle Temple every year. The inn spends £1 million annually on educational awards. It owns some of the most valuable real estate in London, including properties rented to students like Anna.
Looks like the barbecue's going to turn out well, doesn't it?
Right, let's close the door.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
Think it's a bit of a mess.
Did I see a key outside the door?
Yeah, can you take mine out, please?
Yes.
Right, now, this amount of pisses, I'm going to tell you now, is ridiculously excessive.
You see, when you warm it up slightly bit and cut it, the barbecue, people feel it.
Leave it all then, Mum, leave it all.
But you prepare them house and you fill them with.
I know what to do with them.
Okay,
I'm
but
just
so
saying.
why don't you
I'm
want
just saying
it?
it's a barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue. That's what we eat with barbecue.
Who's we?
People. People who have barbecues.
So yeah, this is my house. It's owned by Middle Temple, my inn. It's not paid for by Middle Temple, but they do heavily subsidise it. So that means, is this good? It's heavily subsidised, so that means that the amount that myself and my other housemates have to pay is considerably reduced, which is fantastic because, or this one, which is fantastic because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to live in central London. Do I get all the fruit in as well? So no, it's really good. So they subsidise it, and they've been really good with rent, and it is difficult. This year was £12,500. You get a little discount because I did the law conversion at BPP last year. They give you a slight discount. It's only about £500 though, but every bit does help because it's so pricey. Actually, I can't help but think this is going to go everywhere. What I don't want to do is put my fingers in it because that's disgusting when people do that. Yeah. David, could you please pass me another glass so I can get you some as well? Thank you. So yeah, that's me and my house really.
The defendant in the riots case has come up with a last-minute alibi. If it's true, he can't be the man captured on CCTV.
Well, it's the first time we've heard it. He's been telling us that he went on a little ride around and about Lozells and Handsworth with his mates. But rather than disclosing that on a notice of alibi, he's decided to tell us about it for the first time today. I think my learned leader will tell you about it.
Around 9:30, 10 o'clock, after driving around for 3 hours with this mate, not really seeing anything untoward, he's dropped off at his auntie's house and then goes home with his mum who's there. And that's it, isn't it?
When he told us that, I was out of court, so I didn't know the answer. So, you off to see the mistress tonight?
Possible. Is this the Shakespearean mistress? All right, maybe.
Before the moot, there is a 3-course dinner. It counts as one of 12 educational qualifying sessions students have to attend before they can be called to the bar. The competitors eat for free. This is good news for Iqbal, who's struggling to afford all the qualifying sessions.
God save his people, the Queen, all the royal family and this realm. God send us peace and truth in our days. Master Junior, the Queen.
Master Treasurer, the Queen.
Queen. Master Junior, Domus.
Master Treasurer, Domus.
Domus.
I don't think you do those on barbecue.
I reckon you can do those on barbecue.
Look,
Potatoes.
barbecue, 35 minutes from frozen. They've got to go on as soon as possible.
Yeah, we've got ages.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah, cool. We'd be far cooler if
Is it?
Not to mention the smoke.
Neighbours are going to love me.
Turn the smoke alarm off.
For a while.
It's quite smoky.
Paddy's cooking always sets this one off. Sorry.
Anna's friends have been having pupillage interviews as well.
I thought it was dreadful, actually. So,
Where was this?
and I was late as well.
Where was it?
It was Pump Court Chambers last week. The best one was they said, what 3 qualities are essential in a barrister? And I said 3 things,
and then they said, why? And I started explaining the last one first. Then I can remember the first one, I did the first one, I couldn't remember what the second one was. And they were all kind of, and I said, I've actually forgotten what I said there. So,
you can see the funny side, surely.
yeah, well, they saw the funny side as well, thankfully. So.
Okay, I need, now what do I need? I need their Skelly, but I need the stuff that I've written, yeah. Right. Is that yours?
My lords, I appear with my learned friend, Miss Singh, before your lordships, on behalf of the appellant, the Secretary of State for the Home Department. My learned friends, Miss Darby and Miss Pickup, appear before your lordships on behalf of the respondent, Mr. Gull, who was the applicant at first instance for judicial review. It's my submission, it's not an issue whether or not the legislative aim in this case of whether or not of preventing marriages of convenience is sufficiently important. My lord, nor is it...
How precisely do you define a marriage of convenience?
My lords, in my submission, a marriage of convenience is one which is undertaken for the purpose of circumventing immigration controls or immigration rules, and is not a genuine subsisting marriage in the sense that we understand one to be.
Yes, Miss Darby.
My lord, before I turn to address you on some of the points raised by my learned friend, I propose to spend a few moments considering the approach that should be taken in a case such as this. It is our submission that it is, to use the words of Lord Justice Buxton in the case of Bai, an important and fundamental right that is not to be lightly interfered with.
What do you say about the point made in the skeleton, not developed before us by Mr. Iqbal Mohammed, but we've read it, that it's necessary to have what he calls a bright line rule?
My lord, my learned friend Miss Pickup is dealing very much with the bright line. I would like to take away from his submissions, not wanting to avoid your lordship's question, but I know she has much to say about that. I don't have any more submissions to make, my lords, unless I can assist you further.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm grateful.
The judges retire to consider their verdict.
Trying to become an expert, I think. But it's absolutely spot on.
The riots case is drawing to a close, but Dickie can't afford to relax.
You are always under pressure as a barrister, for the simple reason that you're trying to please your instructing solicitor, you're trying to persuade a judge or a jury to your way of thinking, and you're trying to do your best for your client, whether that be, if you're prosecuting, you're trying to do the best for the police who've put the case together. If you're defending, you're doing your best for the defendant.
Hi,
Any
Kevin.
extras for tomorrow?
Okay, you've got
Thank
some
you.
short stuff tomorrow.
I do it because of those rare moments when you're standing in court and it's all going your way. It's a real pleasure being able to perform advocacy at its best. They're just wonderful, wonderful moments, and I suppose that's what keeps you going.
This is the judgment of the House upon the issues raised in this appeal. It is a judgment to which all members of the House have contributed.
Perhaps I could say at the outset is that we genuinely did find this very difficult to choose between the two sides. And moreover, we thought that the appellant started off with a disadvantage in that it looked as if they were on a bit of an uphill struggle. So it was very much by a whisker, but by that whisker we decided that the respondents were the winners. So many congratulations.
progress to the next stage.
Thank you very much.
You know, they always say that you have to put down mooting to sort of tick the box, and I did it in university, I did it once. But here, I think the difference in doing it properly for 3 or 4 rounds is huge. And I think that it makes a big difference in terms of your confidence in presenting legal arguments. So if I go to a pupillage interview and they ask me to make an application for a bail or something, I can do it very easily because I've done it. I've done similar things 4 or 5 times now in front of real judges.
Anyway, well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, go for a drink.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, where's that pupillage?
Yeah, God damn it, where's that pupillage?
This year's bar vocational course is nearly finished. The students are facing the last in a series of exams, and Iqbal is retaking one paper in the hope of getting a better result.
The reason I'm doing it again is because the first time I was here, I arrived late for the exam. That was because there was a fire on the tube, there was a fire on the Northern Line. You have to provide evidence for whatever you're claiming, and if the exam board is happy, they let you do it again as a first take. I think it only happens once. So I provided them evidence that there was a fire in the tube with press clippings, and they were quite happy with that.
Students are awarded one of 4 grades: outstanding, very competent, competent, or fail.
I think in terms of looking for pupillage, the chambers don't necessarily look at exactly how well you've done, but they'll take note in terms of if you've done outstandingly well. You obviously have the basic skills for what it takes to be a barrister, and if you've come out of it with a competent, it either shows you didn't work very hard or you're just not very good, so they're less likely to take you on. And I'm not convinced I'm doing very well on my either outstanding or very competent score, so today needs to go better than I could expect, really.
Kat's ambition to be a commercial barrister means she has to compete with the brightest and the best. Pupils in commercial chambers can make up to 5 times as much as their criminal counterparts. And commercial QCs can make a fortune. Paul Darling and his clerk have just got this year's edition of Chambers UK, a legal who's who.
Well, it's quite the same, much the same as last year. Chairman of Tech Bar, well, that's a few months out of date. Paul Darling has a reputation, they're ridiculous, that extends beyond the bounds of the practice area and is considered a powerful advocate who will fight his corner to the nth degree. How about this, though? This is backhand, wherever you heard it. One commentator suggested, if you take Paul at face value, you do so at your peril.
That could apply to so many different people that have encountered you across
My favourite one, though, the one I really liked, was the one about the cross between a Rottweiler and an Andrex puppy.
Yeah.
I thought that was very...
Well, that's only because you get excited about a scrap. So it's possible you are being described as a cross between the two, right across the board.
Well, I'm too modest to read that out.
Go on.
It's described... no, even I'm too embarrassed.
I'll read it.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. No, you weren't.
Wow.
Just too awful.
A fantastic advocate. Says it all, doesn't it?
Well, it shows you can fool some of the people some of the time.
I decided I wanted to do civil law, and my tutors at university said, well, if you want to do civil law, the thing to do is to go and do commercial work. And I was lucky enough to get a pupillage at one of the best commercial chambers. But when they decided I wasn't as clever as they required, question, what other civil work did you go and do? I was very much driven by the fact that there was at that stage a vacancy in this very good construction set. That, in one sense, the bar takes you where the bar takes you. You can't, even now, you can't even sit down and say, I want to do X. You may be able to do X, but you've really got to ensure that you are flexible, because it takes you where it takes you.
was all right. My cross-examination went a lot better than my examination in chief, which finished over 5 minutes early, so that's not a good sign. But I thought I can't really backtrack on my questions, so hopefully pass. We'll see.
Let's deal with the realities of life. If you are generally successful at the bar, you do all right. You're not as well paid as other professions. And I'm amazed that certain people come into the profession because it would be far easier for them to go and work for a firm of solicitors with a training contract where they're getting paid double what they will expect to receive when they're at the bar. I'm talking about if they were doing crime.
Looking back, I wouldn't do it.
The young people coming in are finding it the expense of joining the bar almost impossible to pay. It can be as much as £30,000 you've spent before you earned a penny. How, if you come from a council estate in, say, Birmingham or any of the other major cities, perhaps the product of a one-parent family, how on earth do you fund that?
Yeah, well, the sadness of it all, of course, is that people are being denied access to a job that's actually quite good fun.
Yeah, I agree with that.
After a year and £12,000, the students are about to discover if they've made the grade.
Kat, how are you feeling?
Not good. I think I just have to fail one, and I failed. So, keep fingers crossed.
I'm feeling quite nervous. I get the results for the whole year of study, so I get my classification for the BBC, which is either going to be a very competent, which is good, or competent, which is not so good, or a fail, which is disastrous. So, hoping it's a VC.
The jury has gone out in the Birmingham riots trial. Will they accept that the man captured on CCTV is the person in the dock? It's a nervous wait for Dickie Bond.
I never guess how long juries are going to be. They never cease to surprise me. I expect they probably won't come back until tomorrow because it's such a serious case and they've got a lot to think about. There are many issues they've got to decide.
What needs you?
You joke? Well, I've got a verdict now.
On my number, which is not a good sign.
Very competent. Oh, that's a massive relief. Still shaking.
I got a competent. So it's not as good as I expected. But I'm gonna have to check the breakdown.
Doesn't make a massive amount of difference, but I would have felt like it was a waste of my £12,000 to have come out with a competent when I did work really hard.
Hey. Guess what I got? A competent. No, it's not good. I didn't. It's really embarrassing.
Kat's grade may be very competent, but it means nothing without a pupillage.
Oh, well, I've had 10 rejections, so brilliant. I've got 2 still to hear from, but it's very late in the day now for me to be getting an interview. If they were going to interview me, they'd have told me by now.
I have interviews, so I've got 1 interview coming up, 2 more applications to make in the next few weeks. And also, I have 1 outstanding interview that I've done. I need to find out the results, whether I've been called back for a second round.
Joe has got a very competent. And in Birmingham, there's another result.
Rachel will be up. We just need to come up.
The jury acquitted, which is a bit sad, simply because the officers put so much work into the case. But there's justice working for you. It shows that it's balanced. The jury listened to the directions of the judge, and no doubt they decided that the video evidence was of such a quality that they could look at the defendant in the dock, look at the video themselves, and they must have concluded that they couldn't be sure it was the defendant, so how on earth could the police officer be sure? That's the only explanation I can give. But it shows you how balanced the system is. Well, it's only natural to feel disappointed, but, you know, you pick yourself up and you get on with the next case. I've already been given my brief for tomorrow, so I'm back here in this court doing the trial of the issue. So I'm going to go back to chambers and read that now.
It's the day of Kat's call to the bar, and the biggest in Middle Temple's 400-year history.
Call these, please, to Parliament Chamber. Under the archway, Parliament Chamber. You must have been
222 people will sign up today on the table made from Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind.
Just move your head for me, lovely. Finally. There we go.
Excellent.
Thank
you very much. Apparently everyone else has got it different to me. You know how everyone else has got a part here, mine's just there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what you mean. Some of the ladies have got, they're like a bib, which you have to buy, but I can tighten it up for you.
Yes, please.
Is that okay?
Yeah, so is this what most people want?
You can have either, doesn't matter. Yeah,
okay.
But I can tighten it up for you, it's not a problem.
And also, something about the hairline, which I haven't been told, which I feel like I need to be told.
What's that?
I don't know.
With the wig, you're not allowed to have any hair showing at the front, so you need to tuck all that hair behind the wig.
I think call night's a very special night because you've got everyone with their families celebrating their endeavour, celebrating their success. But, you know, it's a real turning point in people's careers and lives. And I think there's a sort of great feeling of joy and ceremony. It's a bit like a university degree ceremony with a professional vocational element, followed by something to eat and drink afterwards.
The huge growth in the number of new barristers means the competition for work is greater than ever, but Kat and her friends are determined to succeed.
What are you doing again, barrister? I would do that, I would do that. But even if we do get people now, it's going to be for 2009 at the earliest. It's a bit like the lottery, someone's going to win.
There's slightly higher chance than the lottery, only slightly.
Sometimes it's a rollover though, so, you know. That's true.
Good afternoon. Well, the real business of the afternoon, obviously, is first of all for me to welcome you to the final half hour of your existence as student members of the Middle Temple, because before the evening is concluded you'll all be barristers, which is a nice thought, isn't it? And the real point of the afternoon.
Catherine Piercy. Jessica Law. Ramona Sims.
But as the new generation waits to be called to the bar, one student has missed out. Anna's results mean she can't yet collect her wig and gown.
Doesn't go well at all. I have to resit my civil exam next Easter. And I think I don't know. I'm just really surprised, and I don't know where I've gone wrong. I really don't know. It just messed everything up, which is incredibly annoying because I failed it by 2 questions. But it affects my pool night because it's next Easter.
It is my duty and privilege as Master Reader to present to you those students of this honourable and learned society whose proposals for call to the degree of the utter bar have been authorised by Parliament. Master Treasurer, I present Stephen Mark Corrin.
Mr. Corrin, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar.
Master Treasurer, I present Miss Catherine Piercy.
Miss Piercy, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar.
Master Treasurer, I present Miss Jessica Law.
I'm nearly a barrister. I am a barrister now. Ooh, that's so exciting.
Now, this is the one occasion when you get a kiss.
Oh, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is my mother.
Nice to see you. Hello, hello. How are you? Nice to see you. What a great day. It's an absolutely critical point in their career because as of today, they are barristers. They'll now start their pupilages, those of them that have managed to find them, and those that haven't will carry on the process of looking whilst working in other areas.
Now, just Joe.
Of the 4 students, Joe Darby is the only one to have secured a pupillage. Iqbal may have passed his exams, but he can't become a barrister until he's attended his 12 qualifying sessions.
You regret it?
In the next programme, the pursuit of pupillage becomes ever more challenging.
Give us a 2-minute potted history of your life.
Oh, I went to a very nice school on a scholarship, and now I work for an office furniture company. Is that a high point?
God, I wish I drank alcohol again. I could do the whiskey. I've never had one.
And what's in store if they succeed? Brokering the value of a marriage.
If I speak completely bluntly, I think it would be foolish of you not to make an offer, to try. I'm not saying she'll accept 10. I mean, look, you know, I'm talking myself out of a 3-day job. You know, I'll probably end up out of court those 3 days, so there's no benefit to me in you settling this.